I said the plastics industry must be stopped.
So does that mean end plastic manufacturing?
I mean, in my dream world, sure.
You all, welcome back. I'm Van. We are all the LFR family. Thank you so much for clicking play. Hopefully you click that like button as well. It really does help. And please do me a favor and watch at least 5 minutes of this video if you're not going to watch the entire thing. That means a great deal to the growing of the video and how far it can go. If you can do that, that will be absolutely amazing. If you don't, I completely understand and respect your time. So just do what you do, but I do appreciate you watching this video so far. All right, so we have someone, a Democrat witness, who said she wished the plastics industry would end, and a senator, Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, is going to question her, and apparently she's a hypocrite, which most of us are. But we're going to hear it firsthand and have a conversation. Hopefully you last for that.
Ms. Bradford, in your testimony, did I understand you right? So that you want to end all plastic manufacturing?
I said the plastics industry must be stopped.
So does that mean end plastic manufacturing?
I mean, in my dream world, sure. But I think that, go ahead.
No, so I don't mean to be condescending here. I just point out, what's going to replace your glasses? Like,
So I
would you wear
do
your
know,
glasses around your face? They're made of plastic.
maybe.
No.
She said, maybe. I know you're looking at my glasses, but what if they're not made of plastic? What if they're made of cardboard and you just can see through them? Maybe I drew my eyes on the outside of this cardboard. What if I did that? Maybe. I'm going to speak on these hearings. These things crack me up, man.
I don't know what they're made out of.
They are. What about, and I'll just point out some things here, because I just want to be realistic when we're having conversations, because when statements are made like this, I just want to open people's eyes and say, well, okay, that's easy to say, but what's the solution? Your water bottle in front of you.
This one?
Yes. That plastic?
No.
The lid is. That's plastic.
Right. So
Right.
I would say to your
cell phone-
question that I would first be concerned about single-use plastics, and then we can talk about alternatives to this.
Your cell phone there, is it plastic?
The cases, but it's glass because I broke
The components
the
inside of it's
screen
not
yesterday.
plastic? The components made out of it's not in plastic? Yeah, they are. The water that you filled that water bottle up with, where'd you fill that water bottle up out of?
A water filling station.
All right, and it was delivered by a drink station that was plastic?
I didn't check.
The edges are. The piping coming to it. Now, you have a couple of choices with
See, she was not expecting this. I don't know why she wasn't, because when people come to these hearings and they know that they're going to be held under the knife, and what you said before you came to this meeting, we're going to talk about that. Now it's time for you to have the balls to man up. Like, okay, let's go. You said you want to get rid of plastics. Let's do it. Every single thing you use is plastic. And she's talking about, well, I know specific things are plastic, but we'll talk about that later. You know, I just want to fight. She is young. She's young, and she has some maturing to do, clearly. But
the piping. We could go back to using wood, but then you have to line it in chemical. Or we could go back and use lead, because we used to have water piping that was lead. That was harmful to us. We go back to galvanized, but galvanized rust and had discoloration. We go back to copper, but copper has to be mined, and everybody wants to stop mining in the U.S. So you use plastic to deliver piping that you fill that water bottle up with today. I point this out because the clothes you have on, I guarantee you have plastic in it. The shoes you have on your feet, the soles of those shoes are plastic. So we talk about any plastic manufacturing, and everybody in here cheers when you say that, but everybody here is depending on plastic as you set.
every single day, we cannot get around it. But everybody want to be a daggone revolutionary. What am I going to fight against? I got it. Plastic. Yes, I'm fighting against plastic. Why? Because it's going to save the planet. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But I want to hear, I know he's breaking it down from his side, but I really want to hear her speak on why she takes that position. I doubt she would, but because she's being questioned and she's on the spot. She got that spotlight on her, and a lot of people don't function properly when they got that spotlight on them. But I would love to hear her speak.
So if you want to end it, then quit using it. It's kind of like I don't shop at certain places right now because I don't agree with some of their policies. I choose not to do that. You can choose to not use plastic. Do your work. If you believe it, then live it that way. And if not, then tell me what the solution is. Mr. Sunday, can you manufacture a car today without plastic? Because we talked about manufacturing, the chairman brought up manufacturing cars as it is safe, but the components that go into the cars today, can you do that without plastic?
No, Senator, and increasingly so with the new mileage mandates. You increasingly need to use automotive components that are plastics derived.
So we wouldn't have manufacturing, today's modern manufacturing, if we didn't have plastics, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Jackson, do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
So what's the alternative for manufacturing? Because the Democrats talk about middle-class wages. Middle-class wages typically come directly from manufacturing. What is it that we're manufacturing that doesn't have plastic in it today?
Nothing. And you know what? It would increase the cost of everything if we turn to an alternative, and it would disproportionately impact low-income people who have lower incomes. It would be another regressive tax on the poor.
So according to your testimony, Ms. Jackson, it sounds like you're saying that the environmental justice agenda does more harm than good for low-income families. Is that correct?
Yes. And, you know, I have the unique opportunity to see both sides when the industry comes in the area and when it doesn't. As an auditor, I worked on Nissan North America. Mm-hmm. Nissan North America moved to Smyrna, Tennessee, where it built the largest automotive manufacturing plants. And the transformation was astonishing. I mean, it went from a community that was poor to a community that U.S. World News voted one of the top 10 places to retire. You had poor people in areas that were poor that became middle class. You had middle class people that became upper middle class, and a lot of upper middle class people that became affluent. They have attractions, they have amenities, they have housing, affordability. I mean, the amount of prosperity in that area has resonated out 3 counties. I've also had the opportunity to see when an industrial, and that wouldn't happen if you don't have an industrial complex moving into the area where you're talking about high economics. I've also seen the other side where all of a sudden you have deteriorating buildings, empty storefronts, dilapidated housing, people standing on street corner housing, that families that are broken. So we need to balance the fact that people's lives need economic upward mobility. And we can't just say, we're going to take out an industry and leave people poorer than they were. Poverty causes the worst health care in this country. Poverty is the one that destroys lives. It destroys health. It creates trauma. So we need to make sure that when we're talking about these issues, we take into account the human loss of life, not just the environmental impacts.
Thank you. Thanks for indulgence there.
I wish the young lady would have been able to speak on her behalf. I mean, just to represent as well. Some people inside of my stream, they mentioned some things. Like Chris and Susie said, let go of the idea of doing away with or not producing plastic and concentrate on the best way to dispose of it safely. Proper management of it. Unfortunately, there's nobody out there watching or enforcing. So although we do our parts, like we put the garbage in the trash cans we're supposed to put them in, and we put the recyclables in the recyclable bins. But when they come to pick it up and they're dumping everything inside the same truck, what can we do about that? What exactly could we do about that? All we can do is our parts, but there has to be some someone out there, some agency out there making sure that it's disposed of properly. Then you go into a whole nother hill of beans where you're trying to figure out, okay, if we're going to do it this way, then who's going to pay for that? And how's that going to be supported? And when we burn up all these plastics, or when we do this at these landfills, that's going to do nothing but damage the earth even more from the fumes and all of the hazardous waste that comes from that. So it's so many different questions as well. And then as my man Colonel, what's up, Colonel B, says, yes, we should get rid of plastic someday after we have invented something better, but we don't put the cart before the horse, as they say. This young man is a genius. I really appreciate the way that he communicates as well. And then Tony Core says, capitalism is great, but when there is no morals, it all goes to sugar honey iced tea. Now the people are standing up. Well, that's integrity, and it's not taught in school. Well, here's the thing, man. People should have a voice. People should speak up. But as this young man was saying, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, the way what he was saying to her was, maybe you should have thought about this. That's it. Maybe you should have thought about this before you consider putting your ideologies out there or your information out there. Consider all sides, and unfortunately most people don't consider all sides. That's why when she said what she said, we didn't witness it, but he mentioned that when you said you want to get rid of plastic industries, people applauded. So that means she's not the only person in there that was not thinking. She's the only person in there that was willing to speak up for the people who was not thinking. So she was the leader of the non-thinkers, and she was clearly loud and she said nothing else after that. So it's a whole lot you have to look into, and this is the whole purpose of us checking this out so we can start the conversation. And I like where it's going, because if we keep on having these conversations, we'll get some type of solutions. We'll figure it out together. The more we figure it out together and stop looking at one another as enemies or someone that's trying to get in the way of your forward progress or upward mobility or opportunities and all that other stuff, all you see is an enemy rather than someone who's an ally who's going to help you move along. Because the more you move along, the more I move along. When industries open up, people get jobs, all right? Families are taken care of. When industries close down, people lose their jobs, all right? Crime starts to happen more and more. Death, health issues. Like, it's so much that goes on with that. All right, so just something to consider. That's my time for that. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments.